Okay, welcome to the meeting, zoning board meeting for January 4th, 2021. Thank you very much. We have a few things on the list tonight, but the first thing we have to do is some reorganization of the board. Adam?
Yeah, so first thing I will do is call for a nomination for the chairman of the board, or chairperson, I should say.
I nominate Tony.
A nomination for Tony. Are there any other nominations? Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Peter. So the motion by Matt, seconded by Peter, is for Tony Zamparelli to be the chairperson. Call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Mr. Chairman?
Okay,
Floor
thank
is
you very
yours.
much. I appreciate that appointment again. Thank you. Now we have to do a vice chairman nomination. I like to nominate, no, I shouldn't do nominations, should I? Pete Solar. Pete Solar. I'll nominate Pete Solar for vice chairman. Is that right? Okay. Do we have
I'll second it.
we have a second. No discussion, I guess? No? All right. All those in favor of Pete Solar for vice chairman?
Aye. Aye.
The ayes have it. Anybody against? Nobody's against? Pete Solar is the vice chairman. Nice job. Good. Now we have to have a recording secretary, a nomination for recording secretary. Anybody want to do a nomination there?
I'll nominate Matt to be recording secretary.
Who?
Sorry. Full name.
Matt Connors.
Matt Connors. I said Matt Connors. Matt Con-
I mean, Matt.
I'll second that.
Oh. Oh, Matt Connors. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll second Matt Connors.
Are you feeling okay today?
I know. Okay, Matt Connors. Anybody want to second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Nobody's opposed. Matt Connors is the secretary. All right,
That's good.
my mistake, I'm sorry. Getting too old. All right, I think we're done with that. Thank you guys for your acceptance of your new positions. All right, so now we have, in order, we have appeal number 6. Oh, sorry, what I meant, appointment of solicitor. Oh, of course. 4 and 5. Number 4, appointment of a solicitor. I'll nominate Flager Associates for the solicitor.
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call for a vote. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Nobody's opposed. Flager Associates has the job.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. An appointment of the court reporter. Guys. I nominate Bill Campbell.
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor of Bill Campbell being the reporter, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Nobody's opposed? You're on again. Good job. Hmm?
There's only 4 of us here today.
Oh, thank you. Peter's kindly let you know that there's only 4 of us here today. So in case there's a tie, you guys lose. Usually we don't have that possibility. Usually that does not happen, but you never know. All right. Now we are on number 6. Adam, is there anything? I know this is for continued, but I'm not exactly sure. I couldn't find my paperwork on this one. Is this the one with the fence?
Yes, this was called last month, and the applicants were not here, so we continued it to tonight's meeting.
And they're here today? Oh. Step right up. Don't be scared. You have to get sworn in. What happened to you last time?
Realized I was supposed to be here for that.
I think we tried to get a hold of you, didn't we? Yeah. Is that on?
Yeah.
Okay, talk close. Okay, tell us what you got.
We just are looking to put a fence in our backyard. It would be a wooden privacy on the part that faces the road, and then just one of the standard black aluminum fences around the rest of the backyard.
Did you submit all that information to us?
Submitted all that information, and yeah,
Did we see that? I don't have the paperwork with me. Pete, do you have, actually, anybody have that? What kind of fence is it?
it's going to be wood across the, it's just the backyard, and across off of each side, it's going to be wood, but then on one of the black aluminum all the way around.
And
Yeah,
There's an easement at the very back of the property line. And so we were told we couldn't put the fence around our property line, and we just like to
This is
put
It's
the
a drainage easement.
by our property
Let me,
line.
let me just mark some exhibits quickly since we didn't last time. Application is A1, site plan is A2, proof of publication B1, proof of posting B2, and B3 is the notice to the neighbors.
okay. You're on the easement. You understand about the issues with putting something over top an easement in case the township has to get there to repair something. They will take the fence down at your expense, and you're okay with that?
Right, yep.
Is there anything else the board members would like to add?
was this,
The fence on the easement?
no, but there was a pipe underneath this one.
I think there was, but I wasn't really sure, because I don't have was there an actual pipe under there? Does anybody know?
I assume there is, but I mean, there's nothing in our specific property. It's just the grass there, but down the way there is a grate that's in neighbors' yards, but not in our yard.
Does it matter, man?
Matt,
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Let me pull it up.
my
Put
recollection,
Pipe into the.
my recollection is that was from a different appeal that we heard. That's my recollection, but I'd like to see.
So do we know if there's,
I got it.
Andy, do you know if there's any kind of a drainage pipe, sewage pipe, or anything in this easement? Andy?
I do not know, but I have the storm sewer map up on my wall here, so I can check if you give me a second.
Absolutely, go ahead.
It's an 18-inch RCP drainage pipe. They're proposing 3 foot off of the pipe in the easement,
3 foot off the,
right? And that's typically, Andy, if you want to confirm, but that's typically what engineering requests to make sure that you're not going to puncture the pipe.
Yes, that's correct. The other reason would be that if there's any overland flow within that easement, overland storm water runoff flow, that the fence does not come all the way down to the ground, that there's a little bit of an area underneath the bottom of the fence so that surface runoff can flow through.
you understand what he's saying there? And you make sure
The
you're,
fence it is, there's space on.
okay, you'll leave it at least 2 inches above the grass levels for drainage. And you'll still submit for a permit, right? We do permits on fences, don't
That's up to, yeah, I believe so.
we? And I wasn't even
That's
sure.
what started the whole thing, was the
Yeah.
fence company submitted the permit.
Okay.
And it came back, there was an.
Okay.
All right. All right. Anything else, guys?
I'm good.
Good?
I'm good.
Want a motion?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve 21 dash,
Oh, is there any public comment?
oh, yeah. Like it?
Everybody loves you.
No public comment.
All right.
Oh, I'm sure that's the.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve 21-1938 to install a fence within the rear drainage easement, 3 foot off of the center line of the 18-inch RCP pipe, and between 4 and 6 inches above the grade.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? There being no discussion, I'll go for a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Nobody's opposed. Motion carries. Got your fence. Thank you very much.
Just so we know, so then, so the fence companies obviously made an application. Now we got the variance. Did they just come back and make a new application, or how does that, what, it's all okay? Somebody here lets them know? What's the next?
You have to submit your permit to the township. You've done that, right? Do they have to do it? And what else would they do, Barb?
I think it's,
If I may, what I would do, I'm one of the attorneys for the township.
Okay.
When you get the decision in the mail, I would send a copy over to the building department and find out if they require anything further for that from you in order to process the application that you had submitted.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Happy New Year. Okay, it was number 6. Number 7, appeal number 21-1942, John Steinman. Step up. Somewhere. Adam, do you have any exhibits for this?
Yes, application is A1, site plan is going to be A2. B1, proof of publication, B2, proof of posting, and B3 is the notice to the neighbors. And the 2 gentlemen will have you get sworn in by the court reporter.
Okay, at this point, if you can get those 2 guys sworn in. Use the microphone, please.
I do. John Steinman.
Matt, are you testifying? Did you swear yourself in?
Matthew V. Piotrowski. I'm an architect and licensed in Pennsylvania.
Okay. Explain to us what you got going, Mr. Steinman. Or Matt.
If it's okay with the board, I'll go through everything and then.
That's
if you have
fine,
questions
Mr.
for
Piotrowski.
John. What we're looking to do, the project overview is to renovate an existing ranch style house and add an addition to the rear of the house and also a small addition to the side of the house. We don't need any dimensional variances. We're here requesting a impervious coverage variance. Part of the reason we need a variance is because it's a ranch style house and a traditional 2-story house, it's roughly about half the footprint. So a ranch style house takes up more square footage on the property than a conventional house. We looked into putting addition on the 2nd floor. It really doesn't work because the reason Mr. Steinman bought the house was it's a ranch style house. He can age in place, and an addition on the 2nd floor would defeat the purpose of having a ranch style house. The requirement is 24% maximum impervious coverage. We're asking for 25.6%, which is 248.53 square feet, which is a 1.6 increase in impervious or over the maximum allowable impervious coverage. We are proposing a dry well, and that dry well is sized to take the entire addition, which is larger than the 248.53 feet that were deficient. So if you took the size of the dry well and you looked at it in how much square footage we're catching the water, we'd roughly be about 18%. So by oversizing the dry well, we're way under the intention of the code. The proposed addition wouldn't have any adverse effect on the neighboring properties. From the front of the house, other than the expansion of the garage, you wouldn't even know the difference. Looking at it from the rear, for 248 square feet, no one's going to know that we're over the amount of impervious coverage. And I know impervious coverage is a sensitive issue. That's why we propose a dry well that is that is oversized, and in reality, it's way under the, I mean, we could build to 25% or 24% and not put a dry well in, but we're actually
Going over and above. and
going up,
beyond.
yeah, over and above what
Appreciate your concern for the water.
the intention of the zoning code.
Andy, are those figures that he just talked about, are they correct?
Yes, according to the exhibits that were submitted.
Anybody got any questions? Ronnie,
No questions.
any public comment on this? Anybody out there? No public comment? Nobody? All right. Pete?
Make a motion to approve appeal number 21-1942 with the increase of the impervious coverage from 16.3% to 25.6% with mitigation to the approval of the township back to 16.3%.
Second.
Any discussion? Did you second?
I second.
No discussion? There being no discussion, I'll call for a vote. All those, I'm sorry?
I don't think that, I apologize, but I don't think the 16.3 is the correct number.
Where are you getting 16 from? I'm looking at 25.6 here.
We've done 25.6 back to the 16.3 is what you're mitigating to.
No, we would be mitigating back to 18%.
Okay. I'll correct that to be 18% then.
All right. Corrections noted.
We asked for public comment.
We did. There was no public comment? No? They're well loved.
Well, actually, this does create a question here because your information here says your existing is 16.3%.
Understood, but we're not going, the dry well is sized for the size of the rear addition, not the side addition of the garage. So that's where it's a little different. Also, there's a little bit extra driveway that has to be put in. We're not piping that water to the dry well. It's the addition in the rear of the house that we're piping to the dry well. So that when you take that square footage, it works out to be 18% of the overall site versus the existing, which is 16.3, I think.
But 24% is allowable, correct?
Yeah, so we're way under that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Are you okay with this?
I'm okay with that.
All right. We had a second. That's the discussion. Anything else? James? Nothing?
I'm good.
Okay. All those in favor? Barb, I'm sorry, I didn't ask you, Barb. Where'd you call?
I'm not participating.
All those in favor? Say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Nobody's opposed? The ayes have it. Good luck, son. You got it. Okay. All right, we're going to appeal number 8 now, or number 8 on the sheet. It's appeal number 1943. I'm sorry, 1943. And it's Paul and Elise Willard. Are they here? Oh, hello.
We're on Zoom.
Okay. All right. Adam, any exhibits before they get sworn in?
Yes, we have, the application is A1, site plan, which is 2 sheets as A2. Proof of publication B1, proof of posting B2, and B3, notice to the neighbors.
Okay, at this point, if you guys would be sworn in.
I solemnly swear testimony about to give will be the truth, so help me God.
I do.
I do.
All right. Why don't you tell us what you're doing?
Just real quick, you have my camera shut off if you want to see me. I'm not able to turn it back on.
Oh. Oh, okay. Was anybody else testifying? Just the one person?
That's my wife. I'm Paul Willard. My wife Elise.
And you're not on the screen?
Right here.
I should be here.
You're there.
Oh, there you are. Okay,
There
yeah.
Okay.
Are you sworn in?
Yes.
Everybody's sworn in. Okay, carry on.
So we had also, there was, our contractor was also on the, in the waiting room.
Okay,
I think it's under Charles Builder.
Is he
is he sworn in? Is your builder sworn in?
I don't think so. I didn't hear him.
Well, if he's going to testify, he's got to be sworn in.
Okay.
Sir, do you solemnly swear the testimony about to give will be the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Identify yourself for me, please.
Charles Sudhop, Carlton Pools.
You spell the last name for me?
Sure. Sudhop.
All right. Who's talking first?
Well, we're at this process, or we're at this point in this process where we are trying to gain approval for a variance. We're attempting to put a pool in our backyard. We are currently at 17.21%. And we are allowed 18%. Where when we installed the pool, we would try to increase it to a maximum of 22.67%. We submitted the plans with the permit application. You guys should have all that information there in front of you. As far as we got information back from your engineer, and we had our engineer make adjustments to the plans to accommodate hopefully all the things that were required or requested.
And I see that you have a seepage bed there. Andy, is this seepage bed large enough to compensate for the extra water?
Yeah, so the proposed additional impervious area is 1,108 square feet. That's the net increase, and they have a seepage bed size to accommodate that.
Okay. You guys, did you want to say anything else? You good?
Just to answer any questions, if you're asking
Okay.
me, no, just to answer any questions or anything that would come up.
All right, guys.
First off, another question here. The pool mechanical shown 6.4 feet off the line. Is that acceptable by the township, or is a variance required for that?
Can I answer that? The zoning requirement for the pool filtration equipment is 5 feet. And that was verified with Mr. Majewski.
All right. Nicole. Anything else? Barbara's Township participate in this?
No, we are not.
Okay. Jane,
The other
anything?
thing we just want to make sure is included is that in the future, we will be adding a shed in the area. That's also included on the plan, and we just want to make sure the variance also includes that shed.
Is the shed included on the plan here right now?
It is, I believe, yes. Is it?
I don't see the shed.
I don't see a shed, and I don't know if it's in your calculations.
The shed's supposed to be in the calculations that we got back from the engineer that did the survey.
Well, if it's not on the plan,
And
it's,
you have a dwelling, driveway, walkway, pool surround, mechanical pad. There's no shed being included in this.
Or maybe it was just that they included increased the wastewater system to include it in the future. Maybe that was,
but without the plan showing the size of the shed, that would be hard to determine.
okay.
Do you want to continue to the next meeting and you can make that adjustment?
You understand? If you want to just double check and submit another plan with the shed showing on the plan and the impervious surface calculations. To include that, you can have a continuance as Matt just offered to you. If you like, it would be the next meeting, I think. I'm not sure how busy the next meeting is, but
I have no idea.
it's up to you.
Why don't
Sure,
we
well,
just go-
if we didn't do that, then we would, when we go, because we're over our impervious surface, when we go to add a shed, we would need another variance. Would that be correct?
Possibly, but if the shed is, as long as it's not a dimensional issue, as far as being in the back quarter of the lot and 10 feet off the, you want it closer than 10 feet.
Would still require a variance for the added impervious area.
If it's, and I was just going to get that, if it's added impervious area was more than what this calculation show now, it still would need it? Okay.
Still need it.
Still be an overage. You know, obviously they'd be offsetting it, but it's still an addition.
Again, then that brings up these want to continue it and make sure it's done now than later?
But put it this way, it's less money and less time if you just continue for the next meeting and make your adjustments than if you turn around and come back in again, because you'll have to advertise again and go through all the fee process.
So do we
It's
have an
your
idea
call.
do we have an idea when the next meeting would be?
Well, there's 1 in 2 weeks, but I don't know if there's room for it. And we would probably need time to advertise. I don't know if that.
No, because it's part of the application and it was part of it's part of the notice already. It's just not on the plans. And so we don't know if it's being considered in the calculations and everything else. But it was properly noted, advertised as far as I'm aware. And I'm just double checking that.
I mean, then they wouldn't need a separate variance other than what they've already advertised for.
Yeah, the shed is part of the public notice. So that's part of it is fine. Wouldn't have to re-advertise it. We just need to revise the plans to put the shed there.
Okay,
And
so
make sure that the calculations for impervious are correct.
you understand? As long as everything's in order and the calculations are correct. And it is noted on the plan, I didn't actually see that note, but he did. You'd be okay.
Okay, just to be clear, then what do we need to do? Can we continue on from here and just resubmit new plans with the addition, or do we need to have a continuance?
Did they really need to?
So so what you need is a continuance to the next meeting, and that would give you time to submit a revised plan with the shed in it. At the next meeting, we would then you'd evaluate what you've submitted, and then assuming we could take a vote on it.
You could potentially skip that.
Okay.
As long as the shed is being put in a proper location on the
Dimension.
property that does not require
Yeah,
a
but-
variance in and of itself, you can still make the motion to bring the impervious down, including the shed,
We
to a
don't,
certain level.
we don't know if the shed is included in this calculation. So are we voting on the
Yeah,
22.6?
we don't know the size of the shed. It's not.
Or-
Meaning
impervious
you're
calculation.
meaning
It's-
you're concerned that it's not really 22.67.
It's not
Well,
22.67.
It doesn't sound like.
Yeah,
it's
because you could still bring it
22.67.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it's better to,
Right.
got it.
All right, Andy, do you
So,
know
Andy.
if there's, what the next meeting looks like?
I don't know what the next meeting looks like. Alternatively, I could make another suggestion that if the proposed pool surround or the patio around the pool is reduced in size in an equivalent to the size of the shed. So if the shed is 150 square feet, if they reduce the patio surround by 150 square feet, then they would still be at the 22.67% proposed impervious area, and then it could be improved, or it could be decided on at that.
Just one quick question. With that, if we're planning on adding some trees and things like that to the landscape, which we don't have now, how does that feed into the impervious? Would that also reduce it, or not really enough to
No.
make any
No.
difference?
No.
So you have two options. You can we can vote on it tonight as it's submitted. And if you want to add your shed and it's not included in these calculations, you can reduce your pool surround by that and you don't have to come back. Or
Okay.
you can request a variance to the next meeting. Sorry, you can request, thank you. You can request a continuance to the next meeting. Make the changes that you want, and then we'll vote on it then. Your choice.
It's my understanding that the calculations for the stormwater management system included the shed. I feel like the only thing we're missing there is the square where the shed is on the plan.
It, according to my plan, it does not.
I don't see it either.
Yeah, we don't see it here either
Yeah,
in the calculation.
I don't think it was added to the.
Okay.
Well, you can reduce the patio area or ask for continuance. We
I
can
mean-
vote tonight if you reduce the patio area to include the shed size. If we do that tonight, or resubmit for the next meeting with the
And
shed
basically-
on there, and then we can check the calculations as we would have something in writing on the plan.
Okay,
There's a physical presence of the shed and make sure it's dimensionally correct and still falls under the impervious surface.
sure.
calculations.
I think for 2 weeks, we should do a continuance and add it.
I think
and-
so too.
And keep it that way.
Just to keep our ducks in a row here.
Exactly.
All right. Is there any public comment on this?
Yes,
There
Judy
is.
Reese.
All right, bring him in.
Maybe.
Yeah, move over a little bit. You're not on camera. You have to. Is that the, I'm sorry. There you go. That's
Oh,
better.
okay. Hi, guys.
Okay.
We just came for our next door neighbors that we have no problem with them putting in a pool. I've lived here, 40, almost 46 years. We have no water issues in this area. Matter of fact, the only time we saw water was when the drain was blocked with leaves several years ago. But other than that, we don't have water issues, so we don't have any problems. We have.
But you're not opposed to this in any
Not
shape
at
or
all.
form? Okay.
Not at all.
Absolutely not.
Can you still need to give them your name and address?
Oh, okay. Judy.
And I'm
Reese.
sorry, that was my fault. You should be
Okay,
sworn in.
It's okay. It's hard on Zoom. Judy and Gary Reese, 969 Princess Drive, Lower Makefield. And it's
Spell your last name for-
REISS.
Spell your last name for me, ma'am.
REISS. Like Sam.
And the testimony you just gave was truth, the whole truth, nothing but truth, so help you God.
Absolutely.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, we can pop out.
If you're done, yes. Yeah.
We're done. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? No other public comment?
No more.
One more or no more?
Is there one more?
No more public comment.
Oh, no more. Okay. All right. So we had a motion to continue, but we don't know when.
It's going to be, I'd imagine, I don't know what our schedule looks like for 2 weeks, but it should be, since you already did everything, it shouldn't be too long. So I think 2 weeks should probably be
All right.
fine.
All right. Somebody make a motion or did you already?
I'll make a motion to continue 21-1943 for 2 weeks to our next meeting.
I'll second that.
Being second, any discussion?
Just a question for me, if you don't mind. We before that happens, we should bring you the new plans, the updated plans with everything. Just so we have it in front of you, like the
Yes.
same way we did
Yes.
last time. Okay.
Yes, we need to see it along with the calculations.
Okay.
Yeah, submit that to Jim
And-
Majewski, and that way he can make sure that the calculations for impervious are correct, that the shed is in the proper location on the property, and then it should be easy going from there.
Okay.
All right.
We're not ready to apply for a permit for the shed as of yet? I mean, or does it matter?
Well, you need to get the approval from us first.
Right. So that's a different process. Get the
Yeah.
approval and then whenever.
Make a new plan up, give it to Jim, submit it to Mr. Majewski. And then you'll be coming back in 2 weeks, most likely. I think that's probably going to be fine because really we've been through everything already. And then that's how it is.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay, any more discussion? Miss? No more?
Nope, I'm good.
Did you want to say something else?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right. Since that's the end of the discussion, all those in favor of the continuance?
Aye.
Say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Good night. Second here. Okay. All right. Okay, we are on number 8 on our list. Appeal number 21-1944. Simon and Donette Taylor, is that right? I hope so. Donette Taylor, okay. All right. Thanks, Nat. Adam, you have any exhibits on this?
Yes, and some exhibits were recently submitted by the applicant's attorney. So I'm actually going to use their numbering system just to make it a little less confusing for everyone. So we have as A1, the CV of Thomas Knabb, who's a licensed architect. A2 is the 1960 storm drainage plan. A3 is the site plans revised 10/20/21. A4 is the photos of the stream on the property. A5 is the depiction of the wall that they retention wall. A6, the Bucks County Conservation letter dated 10/19/21. A7 is the DEP approval letter. A8 is the CV of Chris McIntyre, who is an engineer. A9 is going to be the application, and A10 would be the plans submitted with that, which are revised 10/12/21. B1 is the proof of publication, B2 proof of posting, and B3 is the notice to neighbors.
Wow. All right, if you can be sworn in. Whoever's going to be testifying, or all of you. Use the microphone, please, and give Bill your name and address.
Thomas Knabb, registered landscape architect. Thomas Knabb, registered landscape, KNAB. I do.
Donette Taylor, homeowner. 1513 David Terrace, Lower Makefield. I do.
And we have one more person that's going to be testifying, Chris McIntyre from Renew Design Group, as a professional engineer. I think he's on Zoom.
I believe he's in the waiting room.
He's in the waiting room.
Chris McIntyre.
We have somebody in the waiting room.
Just moved him in.
He's coming in right now.
There he is.
There he is.
Chris, I'm going to have you sworn as well.
Yes.
Sure.
Chris, do you solemnly swear the testimony about to give will be the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
And sir, before you hand that back, I just see that Simon Taylor is also on Zoom, so if you want to swear him in as well.
Mr. Taylor, you solemnly swear the testimony about to give will be the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Board members, good evening. Mark Capuccio from Eastburn and Gray on behalf of the Taylors. I have several exhibit binders for you this evening. I'll hand those out. I thought it might be easier than me coming back and forth with every exhibit. I did have an opportunity to talk to Adam before the meeting, your solicitor.
because we did have some witnesses on Zoom, so that he told me that would be okay with your board. And also, I did have a chance to speak with Barbara Kirk. I understood she was appearing on behalf of the township. I did send exhibits to, I know, Jim, so we had them for this evening, also to Adam and Barbara. But I'm going to hand out extra sets for the board.
Was that, say it again? Okay. All right, I will. Thank you.
Board members, again, good evening. On behalf of Simon and Danette Taylor, the application before you tonight is a request for a variance from section 200-55B1A of your zoning ordinance, and it's to allow the installation of a retaining wall in the stream to the rear of their property. Mr. Majewski was out to the property. I know he was also out to the neighbor's property several times. What has occurred when the land development plan was approved back in 1962 by the township, the stream at that time was redirected. Originally, the stream came across the client's property and the neighbor's property. That was redirected into an L shape. So it actually now runs along the back of the properties, and there were retaining walls constructed at the time that occurred. Over the years, and I believe that was in the 60s and 70s, I have the plan that we will show you this evening where it showed the redirection of the stream and the construction of the walls. But certainly over the 50, 60-year time period, those walls have deteriorated. There's really nothing left. And what has happened is that the stream has now begun to erode into the rear yards. It eroded so badly over the time period from the time the clients moved into the property, they actually installed a fence to the rear of the lot. At that time, you'll hear testimony that there was land on the other side of that fence where the kids used to come along and they would catch salamanders and frogs and whatnot. Eventually, that pit getting eroded, that land is now gone. The fence eventually fell into the stream. There was a large tree. You'll see some photographs that was right along that edge. The land continued to erode, and in fact, they were told the tree had to come down because there was a risk that in a storm with no stability, that tree could have blown into one of the homes. So a large tree had to be removed. What's happening is there's this continued erosion, and it's eating up the backyard of the property. And what we're submitting tonight is we're not putting a patio or something, a pool or something in that area. We're simply looking to put the retaining walls back so that the stream bed is back where it is. With that, I have testimony for you tonight, first from Tom Knabb. Tom will be testifying as a landscape architect. He has experience in land development, planning, zoning. I can go through his qualifications. I would be offering him as an expert landscape architect. If there's any opposition, or do you want me to go through the qualifications? I'm happy to do so.
Township will not oppose his qualifications as a landscape architect.
First, thank you. I appreciate it. I'll jump right into the questions then. Mr. Knabb, good evening. You were asked by the Taylors to assist with regard to an erosion issue on their property. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And can you tell the board briefly, what were you asked to do?
At Renew, we were asked to evaluate potential solutions for the erosion that was identified by the Taylors and any possible solutions for reclaiming just what they had lost due to the stream erosion.
Did you serve as the project manager for this project?
Yes, I did, along with Chris McIntyre, who's a professional engineer.
Okay, so you and Chris together worked on the project?
That's correct.
Did Chris prepare the plans? And I know Chris is going to testify this evening as well. Did Chris prepare the plans that were submitted to the township and that are being reviewed by the township engineer?
Yes, he did.
All right. I'm going to take you back to March of this year. When did you visit the property?
Approximately March, end of March 2021.
Tell the board briefly what you noted with regard to the erosion that's occurring there.
Well, the first thing I noted, without the Taylors really saying much, was their fence that they had installed falling into the stream, and a significant amount of erosion on their property and their adjacent neighbor's property. In essentially no vegetation remaining, and a vertical edge directly into the stream.
At some point, did you ask the township for a copy of the land development plan for the project when this lot was created?
Yes, I did.
And did you receive a copy of the plan?
Yes, I did.
Board members, I'm going to refer Mr. Nab to Exhibit 2. Do you recognize the exhibit that's in front of you as marked as Exhibit 2 as the plan that you were provided by the township?
Yes.
Identify what this shows.
This shows a hand-drawn subdivision plan of this development where Lot 62 is the Taylor Residence's property.
That's Milford Manor, if I'm correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does the plan show that the stream that entered the client's property was diverted when the development was created?
Yes, it does.
And describe what was the diversion on the plan, if you could describe for the board.
Essentially, the stream was diverted in somewhat of an L-shaped manner, whereas the original stream was going across their immediate adjacent neighbor's property and the Taylor's property with two diversion concrete retaining walls to remediate any potential erosion that would occur in two different areas to create the lot that's shown as Lot 62.
So on the plan, it does show two separate retaining walls being constructed?
Yes, it does.
Right. And
yes.
And did you visit the property, when you visited the property, did you note that there was deterioration of the walls that had been constructed?
Yes, I did. The two separate areas of retaining walls have clearly failed and appear to have failed for a significant amount of time. The concrete retaining wall in this plan where it says original stream in a dashed line is very hard to even recognize as a retaining wall.
When you went out to the property, one of the comments I know when we were preparing, you told me that you saw concrete in the stream. Does it appear that from that plan that when the construction was actually performed, that the retaining wall was actually extended even longer than is shown on this plan?
Based on broken concrete and deteriorated concrete in the stream, I believe it was extended towards the Taylor's property.
All right, I'm going to refer you to Exhibit 3 in the Is that the plan that was prepared by your office?
Can we bring up Exhibit 3 on the screen? Thank you.
Yes, it was.
All right, and explain to the board, is this a site, the improvements on the property at the current time?
Yes, this is a site layout plan based on a survey prepared by a professional land surveyor with dimensional information with relation to the stream.
Okay, and does that show where the proposed wall would be located?
Yes, it does.
All right. I'd like to move you on to Exhibit 4, if you'd turn that tab for me, please. Did you take photographs when you were out at the property?
Yes, I did.
All right, board members, I've marked the photographs starting with Exhibit 4A through 4D. So 4A, if we could have brought up, please.
Working on it.
Thank you. Tom, can you explain what 4A shows?
This was the erosion that I noted at my initial site visit, the fence where the Taylors had installed previously falling into the stream. And I had since been out to the property since this time, and it appears to have gotten worse over the course of the past couple of months.
Do you know how long this has been occurring?
As far as I was understanding, as long as the Taylors have lived at the property.
Why don't we turn to 4B? Well, that's brought up on the screen. I'm going to ask you what that photograph shows.
That's looking the other direction down the stream, noting the same type of erosion that's happening and the fence that's falling into the stream.
And let's go on to 4C. What does that show?
Looking back the other direction, you can see some of the broken concrete, and you can see a tree that had to be removed because of the erosion.
And finally, 4D, please.
This is kind of looking straight on at the stream, same type of thing, fence falling into the stream, erosion, and the fence that had, the tree that had to be removed.
Is there a method by which the erosion could be stopped?
Yes, sir.
And what is that?
Based on our evaluation, a segmental block retaining wall sitting on top of a poured concrete bed would be the best option, the lowest impact option for the Taylors.
Okay, so let's talk about the construction the township would want to have an interest, they'd have an interest in knowing what we propose. And board members, I'm going to ask, if you take a look at tab 5, there's a wall photo and a description so you could see generally what's being proposed. If you would describe for me.
So the picture on the left is from Ready Rock, which is the manufacturer of wall block that we're proposing to use, which is very common in applications such as these. The image on the right is a elevation from structural drawings we prepared as one of our consultants prepared for the proposed wall.
Tom, tell the board about the appearance of the wall. I know the photograph is there. And board members, I know that the stone, it's similar, am I correct, to like a E.P. Henry type stone, something along those lines?
It's very similar in type of construction and style. The only difference here is Ready Rock is what we would refer to as a large block retaining wall. They're jumbo blocks. They're very effective in, they're a lot more stable, requires a lot less reinforcement behind the wall, is extremely effective in a application such as this. But in terms of style, it's a stacked block, similar to a E.P. Henry wall, different from a poured concrete wall.
Just stacked? Is there any kind of interlocking?
They interlock. There's a knob. They're each block are poured concrete, made to look like stone. They interlock, and there's drainage stone behind it, which we've prepared. Our consultants prepared structural drawings for.
What would the height of the wall proposed?
At the highest point, approximately 7 feet 6 inches, and then tapering to existing grade at either end, and approximately 33 feet in length.
And is that any higher than the grade?
No, sir.
Okay. Visually, in terms of impact, do you anticipate any adverse impact of the appearance of the wall?
I don't.
The Taylors requested relief. I had said to the board, section 200-55B1A of the zoning ordinance. Had you had a chance to review that section of the ordinance?
I have.
All right. Now that section discusses no encroachments, new construction, substantial improvements, or other development be permitted unless it would be demonstrated through hydrologic and hydraulic analysis under standard engineering practices that there wouldn't be an increase in flood levels. Do you believe that that type of analysis is necessary here?
I do not.
And why?
We feel that since it's supplementing and enhancing the original intent of the concrete walls that were constructed that have now failed, the impact to the flood level would be de minimis, and the drainage nature behind the retaining wall would allow any water to flow between the proposed retaining wall.
And I guess that's my next question. Is there anything being constructed that along that stream bed wasn't there previously?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Do you believe that the engineering analysis referenced in the section then, specifically those two analyses are necessary?
I believe they're not necessary.
Okay. Did you also receive then approvals from DEP and the Bucks County Conservation District?
Yes, we have received approval from the Bucks County Conservation District, an ENS permit. It's noted as an adequate letter, but that's the phrasing of what they do. It is a permit requiring a pre-construction meeting, which we will organize, and a Chapter 105 DEP General Permit 3 from the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection.
Board members, those are in your packets as 6 and 7. If they want to be brought up on the screen, both exhibits 6 and 7 would be the DEP and the County Conservation District review and approval. Tom, a couple of questions just with regard to the variance issue. Do you believe that the Taylor's property has any unique physical circumstances or a condition that would create an unnecessary hardship?
I do not believe so. The hardship in my mind in this circumstance is the failing walls that were previously constructed.
And that's my question. Do you believe that then is a hardship?
Yes, sir.
With regard to the relief requested, do you believe that that's so that they can continue to use the property as it had been used from the time they moved in the 90s, without losing additional property to erosion.
Yes, and that's, to my understanding, the intent of this project is to not regain any additional land, but just to reclaim what they've lost since they've lived at the property.
And would that also stop further erosion?
Yes, it would.
Okay. In your opinion, did the Taylors create the unnecessary hardship?
They did not.
And specifically, they didn't divert the stream. It was the township authorized that in 1962.
Correct.
Do you believe that the construction of the proposed retaining wall would alter the essential character of the neighborhood or the district where the property is located?
No, sir.
And do you believe that the variance, if authorized, would substantially or permanently impair the development of any adjacent property?
No, sir.
Do you believe it would be detrimental to the public welfare?
No, sir. And I'll add the orientation, the layout of the wall was designed by Chris McIntyre in conjunction with the township engineer so that no additional erosion would occur. So it's been scrutinized on a number of different levels.
Is the variance requested the minimum variance that would afford relief in this situation?
Yes.
Board members, I don't have any additional questions for Mr. Nab. I would offer him for questions from the board, your solicitor, township solicitor.
I have a few questions, if I may. Mr. Nab, if I'm looking at a copy of Exhibit 2, which is the plan submitted that was part of the original land development plan, was that the only original land development document that you studied in determining that this wall would be appropriate as a mitigation measure?
Yeah, we had a meeting with Jim Majewski and the township engineer, myself and Chris McIntyre. I don't know the exact date. It was a month or two ago, but we were talking about the project and the fact that a variance would be required. We were given this plan by Jim as the land development plan on file.
At the time of the original land development, do you have any idea of the number of other houses in the area that would have flowed into the stream?
I do not.
Would it be fair to say that since the 1960 land development plan, there has been more development in the area, which has created more flow into the stream?
It's possible from an upstream standpoint, yes.
So without having conducted any studies, how can you opine that the proposed retaining wall would not have any adverse effect on the floodway or the spillway of this stream?
Well, I think the thing to consider here is the way that the stream has changed and the urgency in which the Taylors need to reclaim their property. It's slowly being eaten away by the erosion. We feel that it is a de minimis increase or change to the stream bank. It's not really changing the stream bank at all. It's reclaiming what was there. And the Taylors are eager to reclaim what has eroded from their property.
But obviously, installation of a 7-foot high retaining wall creates an impervious barrier that will affect how water flows across the land into the stream. Isn't that correct?
It can, but in this case, it's protecting this particular section of the Taylor's property.
But how can you opine that there won't be an adverse effect to the actual stream and the flow and the spillway without having conducted any study?
Objection. Board members, the fact is, the plan shows in 1962 that the walls were there. They're not there today. Your township authorized the change of that stream, yet they allowed the relocation. I think we can all agree that without you could not have relocated a stream without a retaining wall. It wasn't going to relocate. And the fact is that when the walls deteriorate, a stream will naturally go back to where it was before. That's what's happening. We're simply putting back what was there. So questions about how it may change, it's simply putting the stream bed back to its location as shown on the 62 plan.
And I submit to the board that consideration should be given as to the 50 years of development as to how it affected the stream. It's not like you're taking a plan that was only a few years old and replacing it with something. I just want to be assured, and the township needs to be assured, that there's not going to be an adverse effect on the flow of the stream as a result of the construction of a 7-foot-high retaining wall.
But if I may respond, board members, I disagree with my colleague's position. I think it would be absolutely unjust for a township to grant a land development plan in 1962 to allow or require, I don't know how it was done at the time, a relocation of a stream, and then years later, when the walls have disappeared and the concrete has failed, to say you can't put it back. This is something that was existing and should be replaced, and that's all we're asking. We're not asking to add anything new.
I think we're just trying to look at it in the present time, though, right now. I understand what Barb's saying. It is a long time ago that was done, and there has been a lot of development since then. And I think that's a fair question. I don't think it's, I think that's fair to ask. I'm kind of concerned myself.
Well, I mean, I'll also add that we have obtained an ENS permit from the Conservation District to mitigate any erosion or sediment that would occur from construction, and a stream encroachment permit from DEP. So it has been scrutinized by the county level and the state level.
Then my next question is, assume that the retaining wall is installed. As I look at these pictures, it appears that the existing fence will be moved from their current location to in front of the wall? Is that the proposal?
Well, closer towards the house because of the not further out from where the wall is. So if you're looking at Exhibit 4A, it would move to the left, further interior to the property, behind the retaining wall, on the house side of the retaining wall, not the stream side of the retaining wall.
So the fence that's showing in these pictures is going to be removed, correct?
Yes.
And then the retaining wall is going to be installed.
Yes.
And then there's going to be a new 4-foot-high fence installed closer to the house, but not along the same edge of the stream bed as shown in these pictures.
That's correct.
When the retaining wall is installed, is it going to be installed in such a way that it's going to be on the slope of the stream bed, or is it going to be installed at a flat area before the slope of the stream bed?
Well, I can say that there really isn't a stream bank in this area. It's almost you can tell from the pictures, it's a vertical edge. So it'll be installed on the existing or the eroded stream bank in that area.
So then my question is, why would you install a retaining wall as opposed to a row of riprap?
Well, a row of riprap, in our experience, and Chris McIntyre can testify to this as well, but we feel that a more naturalistic approach, like you mentioned, riprap, is an option, but it would further extend into the Taylor's backyard, allowing them to not use a portion of their backyard, reshaping the stream bank, creating a more naturalistic approach with some kind of lattice reinforcement and plantings. Again, is an option, but one would create additional disturbance, which we're trying to minimize, because sediment encroachment into the stream is always a consideration. So what we're doing with the retaining wall, again, is to enhance what was previously constructed and is failing and has failed, and to minimize the amount of disturbance that would occur as a result of construction.
All right, so walk me through this. Maybe I'm misunderstanding how you're saying this. How is installation of a retaining wall reclaiming land that would be lost if you used an option of riprap along the stream bed?
Well, whatever would need to be done, I see what you're saying about riprap, but what I'm talking about is a naturalistic approach where it would reshape essentially widen a riparian buffer adjacent to the stream. You would still need to do riprap, but allowing for maximum slope percentages of 3 horizontal to 1 vertical slope, it would encroach further into the Taylor's backyard for any more usable project. So you'd have to take up a wider horizontal area using riprap versus a retaining wall. So it in essence devalues the Taylor's property by extending into their backyard.
How much extension into the backyard would it make a difference?
3 to 1 based on the height of the 3 to 1 slope, just typical engineering practices based on the height of the encroachment. I mean, you could talk 15 to 20 feet, something like that. Again, we didn't, we did that evaluation, but in my quick numbers in my head, it would be 14 to 15 feet or so with that option.
Matt, does that seem accurate?
Well, it depends on what size riprap you were using.
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
Again, I think that question would be better posed to Chris, who's a professional engineer and prepared the plans. But I think an option like that would not only create more disturbance, it would devalue the property by taking away the usable space that the Taylors currently enjoy, that they bought the house for.
If you know, how long has it been since a full retaining wall has been along that stream?
To my understanding, it's been deteriorated for some time.
Years, months, give me.
I mean, years of there's been, I can't speak to what the Taylors moved in there, what it looked like, but from what I can see in my evaluation today, there's broken concrete in the bottom of the stream bank.
I have nothing further.
That's it, Barb? Matt?
I'd actually like to hear from the engineer, and then we can talk to both of you to get the full picture.
Mr. Zamparelli, if I could just have one follow-up with the witness. Tom, in terms of the minimum variance to afford relief, would riprap and the extension that you're talking about and the encroachment into the stream be greater than what's proposed?
I believe it would, yes.
Okay. Nothing further. And board members, I can then have Mr. McIntyre testify. Mr. Connor, he may be able to answer your question. Chris, I see you on the screen.
Yep.
Okay. Board members, again, I note that we do not have anyone opposing formally tonight, so I would offer Mr. McIntyre as an expert in civil engineering. His CV is attached as an exhibit number 8, as Tom's was as exhibit number 1. Unless there's any objection, I would offer him as an expert in civil engineering.
We have his information.
Yes, he's tab 8 in the binder.
Township does not oppose. I saw the CV before tonight's hearing.
All right, I didn't say it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kirk. Thank you. Chris, how long have you been involved in the project with Mr. Knabb?
From the beginning.
And were you present for his entire testimony this evening?
I was.
Okay. Do you disagree or differ with any of the statements that he's made this evening?
I do not.
All right. With regard to any additions concerning the installation of the proposed wall, do you believe that that would be necessary to stop the erosion that's currently occurring on the property?
Yeah, when they diverted the stream and the deterioration of the wall that was existing at the time, it has continued to accelerate the erosion along the Taylor's property. So I believe the wall is the only way to mitigate that.
Do you believe that the Taylor property has unique physical circumstances or conditions that have created an unnecessary hardship?
I do.
Okay. And do you believe that the requested relief is necessary, in essence, in order that they can continue to use the property as they had when they purchased it?
I do.
Do you believe that the Taylors in any way created this unnecessary hardship? Did they redirect the stream?
They did not. It was as part of the 1960 or 62 development.
Do you believe that the construction of the proposed retaining wall will alter the essential character of the neighborhood or the district where this property is located?
I do not.
Do you believe that the variance, if it's authorized, would substantially or permanently impair the development of adjacent property or be detrimental to the public welfare?
I don't think so. No.
And I want to ask you the question that I had asked Mr. Knabb about the variance being the minimum variance that would afford relief. Do you believe that what's proposed is the minimum variance relief that would be necessary?
I do.
No further questions.
Yes, Mr. McIntyre.
Yes.
Can we agree that the flow of the stream has changed in the last 50 years since the original development?
Yes, I would agree.
You've heard my question to Mr. Knabb about the installation of a retaining wall in lieu of riprap. Why would riprap not be appropriate in this situation?
The intent of the original design of the channel in 1962 had a side slope of 1.5 to 1 is what the design was originally. That over the years has created an almost vertical bank on the Taylor's property. If we were to add riprap, we would have to comply with modern standards of a 3 to 1 slope, which the wall that we're proposing from the ground level to the very top is 7.5 feet. So a 3 to 1 slope will lay that back 20 maybe 20 feet into the Taylor's property to be able to abide by the 3 to 1 slope requirement. Furthermore, riprap in that position, it's not much different than a deteriorated wall that it can move. So it would have to be armored, anchored in, and now you're physically creating impervious surface laying on the side. So now we'd have an impervious surface issue. Vertical wall has almost no footprint. The one we're proposing actually has grass that comes up to the top of it and would allow for more of a pervious surface closer to the stream.
How wide is the proposed retaining wall?
I think the blocks are about 18 inches thick, but the top has like a scoop that allows grass and soil to sit on top of the wall.
So you said blocks are about 18 inches thick. The intent is the width of this wall would only be 1 block wide?
Yes.
So it's not going to be layered in multiple blocks?
It is, but the step back of the wall would be by no means as flat as a 3 to 1 slope or the slope that's actually there.
Were you asking if it was multiple blocks high or multiple blocks?
Multiple blocks deep.
You're stepping back the block, how far back would that take it? As you're stepping the block back as opposed to the riprap?
I'm not sure. Tom might know the batter of the wall better.
Yeah, when you're talking about the back, it's not, to answer your question, Barb, it's not 2 blocks back to back. If you look at that exhibit, I'm not sure which number it is, but the one with the wall elevation in the picture, you can see that grass coming up to the top of the wall, but that's 1 block course. So there's not back-to-back block course. When Chris is talking about the batter, that's just the way these walls are designed. It's about I think it's like 1 inch stagger between blocks. So the bottom block sit at the stream bank. There's one underneath that sits on a poured concrete pad in this case. And then as the wall gets higher, it steps back by 1 inch. It's just the way the walls are. They don't design them to be completely vertical. It from the naked eye, it looks vertical, but that's just the way the wall.
That picture actually that is shown, that batter actually looks a little bit more than an inch, but it's no more than 3 inches each block.
So that I'm clear, the picture that's on the screen shows what appears to be a 3-tiered wall right against the water. Is that what you're envisioning this retaining wall
yes.
to look like?
Yes.
Okay.
Obviously, this is a different.
Yeah, it's a different application.
Than what we're proposing, but the intent may not be directly against water. It may be depending on the height.
There may be a little bank at the bottom.
Exactly.
On the front and back of it.
You're talking about like a tiered version of the wall being installed to reach a height of 7 feet.
That's just how all of the walls are designed. All segmental block walls, whether it's a big block wall or an EP Henry wall, has a batter. It's Chris can probably give a technical reason for it, but it's related to the structural design of the wall. They're all constructed that way.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand. In my mind, you say 7-foot high wall. I'm getting a vision of a solid wall straight up. But you're talking about for stability purposes, it has to be more of a tiered version.
It tiered to the
Very
extent
slightly,
of the batter
yes.
that's required by the manufacturer, but it's not. There's other circumstances where you might have, so that you don't have, in a circumstance where it would be a 20-foot high wall, which is obviously not the case here. To break that up, you could do a a 10-foot high wall and then some kind of grass or landscape bench and then a separate wall. This is one wall with the batters required by the manufacturer. The highest point is 7 feet, 6 inches in the center, and then tapering up to existing grade on either end of the retaining.
And is this, Mr. I'm sorry, McIntyre, is the location of this proposed retaining wall in the same location as set on the original 1960 land development plan?
It is along the stream bank where the original stream bank would have been had it not eroded out.
But what I'm asking is if in looking at the original 1960 plan showing retaining walls is and the argument being the property owners intending to install a wall as originally approved, is this proposed wall going to be in the same location as the original 1960 wall?
As far as we could tell with the deterioration of where the wall was,
But I thought this
if a portion on the Taylor's property would be replaced.
based on the plan that was given for the 1960 land development, is it in your opinion that the proposed wall is in a similar location is what I'm trying to understand?
From the plan, it looks like it's just at the very corner of the stream, but there's no like dimensions, or it was a very like up in the air thing. They didn't even know if it was a concrete wall or a masonry wall. So from the plan, it's at the corner of the bend, but I'm not sure exactly what was constructed.
And I understand, but in other words, if I'm looking at your current plan and the proposed wall, that's in the similar area or location. It's not like the original wall was on the other side of the property along the stream bed, is what I'm getting at.
On the other side of the property. The curve of the bend would be to the left side of that plan.
Okay.
And as it comes around, our wall would be on the same side as the outer wall of the curve. I don't know if that helps you.
Right, and then the only other question I have is, once the retaining wall's installed, is there going to be fill added to the property? Because the comment was made to reclaim the land that was lost by the erosion.
There's stone backfill behind the wall itself as they construct it. And then the very top will have a topsoil topping, and then the fence will be there as well. So they're trying to reclaim maybe 4 feet of their land, however that is, of that
Sorry, how
eroded
many?
spot. Maybe 4 feet, 3 feet of whatever was eroded out of that back corner.
Thank you.
Okay.
Pete, anything? You got something? I'm sorry.
You want to go, Peter?
It doesn't matter.
I think we both have
I think we
questions.
both had the same question.
No, we probably have similar and different ones here.
Go ahead, Pete.
So the actual turn in the stream is upstream of their property line. So what is to prevent continued erosion upstream of their property from eventually undermining the end of this retaining wall?
The retaining wall we have is curved in, so it allows the flow to come and be guided. The township engineer and I had discussed this, and that was one of his comments, was to make sure that it was allowed for a flow and not an eddy to swirl in that location to minimize any chance of further erosion in there. But without armoring it, there's no way to actually stop that from eroding. And the Taylors cannot put a wall on someone else's property. So they're.
So just to follow up on this, you beat me to this one. There's no topography on the plan, so it's hard to tell like what's going on just outside of the where you're placing the wall. And I see you have looks like a 5-foot return that goes into the property. So
Yeah, on the
flow is going to
downstream
be
end.
hitting that corner.
Well, that's the downstream end of the flow is going to go from left to right of that plan.
Correct. Flow goes from left to
exhibit
right. So
three.
you have a 5-foot return that comes in.
Right. So you'll have the water will come down, hit the arced portion of the wall,
Right.
and flow along it, but we actually are going to keep some of the bank at that point. So once it gets to that point, that wall will just dovetail back into the existing stream bank and then continue.
Right. So, but again, what's the topography of where you're placing the wall and
It's
how
a vertical, it's almost a vertical. We didn't provide the grading plan, did we, Tom?
I mean,
We did provide it to the township in their review. It's not as an exhibit. The township engineer seen it.
If you look at the pictures in exhibit 4,
yeah,
you could see that it's
I
like
see
a
the
vertical,
pictures.
a vertical.
So you place the wall along the edge of that cut.
Right.
Okay.
That's correct.
You can see the vertical drop that they're talking about probably best in 4B.
Again, I think just to reiterate, the intent of this wall is installing it in the most minimal place possible where there is, I mean, you can see where those tree stumps are. It's actually undermining that topsoil. So if you were to stand where those trunks are, it's almost like a soil cantilever over the stream. So it's undermining that section of the stream bank. And then after that, just past where we're proposing the retaining wall, and that's kind of how we came up with the layout of the retaining wall, was to remediate just this area because erosion isn't evident past this area. It's still whatever I guess was originally designed in that original stream bank relocation, but it's the erosion further down is obviously not present, and it's more of a stabilized stream bank. You're looking into the direction of the water is going.
So it basically, like the tree right there, takes a right and then heads up towards ends up over by the middle schools. So in this picture, the toe of that retaining wall is basically at the edge of the water, or is it
Basically,
where the fence is?
It would be at the edge of the water.
Edge of the water. Okay.
And then it's basically filling in everything you're seeing would be wall and backfill.
Okay.
What's the 100-year flood elevation at this location?
Just right
I'd have to actually look at the FEMA map.
I'm sorry, did you get that question?
I mean, the entire property is in the FEMA floodplain, so.
Well, the majority of the property is in the floodway, not the floodplain. It continues much. I have 131 is what I looked up and saw.
Yeah, 132 is about the top of the wall, 132.
131 at this location.
So I got the,
It's below the 100-year. Okay.
yeah. So it
Above the 100-year, excuse me.
yeah, it's about the 100, right? But if you said you're putting at 132 as the top based on your detail here. I'm assuming this is the detail of what you're proposing?
Yep.
That's from the structural drawings.
Okay.
The left
It's a
is
wall
just an
elevation.
image from the ready.
No, I get that. I'm assuming that this is your detail. I'm just confirming that.
It's one of them. There's
Right. So your top of wall is now 132, and you're stating that you're gonna fill behind that wall.
No, we're not raising the grade. We
You're
are
not
actually matching the exact grade.
So
of
what
this.
is the grade that's there now?
132, nothing.
So it's 132 that's there right now.
Yes. And their backyard right in that area does slope towards the stream. So it'll flow over top of the wall. Whatever.
Okay. All right.
Now, I realize you said it was 18-inch block, but another question here with the 100-year flood and corresponding velocities and flow force, is the wall designed to take that?
It is. We have provided it to the township engineer, the signed and sealed structural drawings.
We had an outside consultant do the wall first.
Additionally, board members, we did receive a letter from the township engineer with a review, and it's all pretty much well complies. They're in that process right now.
It's been resubmitted.
I think that was October, was the township review letter, the engineer's review letter.
And if I may, Mr. Capuccio, when was that letter sent? Because unfortunately, neither I nor the board have been privy to that letter, which may help with this review.
Kirk, I think I have a copy of it in my file. Now, I don't have enough for the whole board, but I may have one if I could have one check.
Thank you.
That would be cool if you could provide that. 3 for 3. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, it was submitted.
No.
Sure. I mean, the comments are.
All right. Ms. Kirk, I have the letter from Remington and Vernick Engineers. So why don't I mark that as applicant's exhibit? I think we're up to 9.
A11 it would be.
A11.
A11. And Mr. Flagler, I apologize. In my binder, I simply marked them 1 through 8, so they may be off what I provided to you, but I'll mark this as A11. And then in addition, Barbara, we have the renew response letter that was sent on October 21st. So why don't I mark that as exhibit A12? Board members, again, I had these in my file. I don't have enough copies, but I'll hand them up to Ms. Kirk and then she can pass them down.
Thank you.
I was going to be nice and read it first. Just scan it. Jim would do it. Where's Jim when you need him?
Those things that used to have the pages, and then you draw on it. No, you would draw on it, the marker.
I had those when I was in college.
Yeah, hate them. Yeah. It's just so funny. It's obsolete technology, but.
If I may, Mr. Flagler, based on my review of the letter, Mr. Capuccio, I think what needs to be clarified, if at all possible, is your Exhibit 3 shows the configuration of the wall differently than the original application dated September 7th that was submitted with the application. And I believe the reconfiguration was in response to a comment that the township engineer indicated that the location of the wall could adversely affect the adjacent property by creating a whirlpool effect. And as such, I think it wasn't pointed out that the configuration has been modified and amended based on the township engineer's comments. So if you want to elicit that testimony, I think it might be helpful.
Sure, that's fine. And thank you for pointing that out. That is correct, that when the review letter came out, there were questions about that. And I know that, Chris, you had conversations with the township engineer. I think, Tom, you may have as well. Do you want to address that, Chris, as to the reconfiguration in that one spot on the wall?
Yeah, his comment, and rightly so, had the wall coming backwards and then a 90-degree that came in on the other end. And he was concerned that that would cause a flow whirlpool effect and actually mitigate or accelerate erosion in that corner. So to help alleviate that, we have arced it to allow the flow to actually come across the wall face more cleanly.
Chris, thank you. And Barbara, thank you for pointing that out. That is correct.
Because if I look at A11, the original plan, that wall appears to be somewhat
Yeah, it's more jagged.
perpendicular to the stream with a little leg coming out.
That's correct.
If I now look at what was submitted as Exhibit 3, you see a greater arc
That's
to the
correct.
wall with the leg on the opposite side
Yes.
than what it was.
That is correct.
So Andy, you reviewed the plan and the response, and you're satisfied with what was submitted?
I am satisfied with what was submitted, that it will work from an engineering standpoint.
Okay.
I think that there's some other testimony that was provided tonight that I would disagree with. And I don't know if I have to be sworn in to testify on behalf of the
Please.
township or how you want to handle that.
We'd like to hear it.
Like to hear from you.
Okay. As far as the construction of the wall,
We'll get sworn in.
okay.
And you solemnly swear the testimony I'm about to give will be the truth, so help you God?
I do.
So I guess if I may, since Mr. Pokel, what is your position with the township?
I am project manager for Remington Vernick Engineers. Remington Vernick Engineers is the appointed township engineer.
Mr. Capuccio, are you going to have any opposition to Mr. Pokel testifying in his capacity as the engineer for the township?
I do. I would object to his testimony tonight. I think that the testimony from the engineer we've presented addressed the issues, and I'm sorry, this is the township's engineer?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the one that you said everybody talked to in
Yeah.
reviewing the plan.
Yeah, no, okay, I'm sorry. I withdraw my objection.
Thank you.
Jesus,
Confused me for a minute.
Threw you off there for a second, didn't I?
I was really going to get confused there.
Mr. Pokel, have you reviewed the original plan that had, and then the subsequent revisions that have been submitted for this application?
We have reviewed the original plan. A sketch of the subsequent retaining wall layout was provided to me via email, which I reviewed and indicated that I would find that that layout acceptable. I've also received structural retaining wall drawings that we are reviewing.
That you're in the process of reviewing right now?
Correct.
Okay. I also note that the applicant, that your review required the applicant to obtain appropriate letters from other agencies such as Bucks County Conservation District, as well as PADEP for this project. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And have you seen those letters?
I have not.
But if it were told to you that those letters were issued indicating that the proposed plan is acceptable, would you find that satisfactory as per your review?
Yes,
Now, you indicated that you've heard the testimony from tonight.
yes,
Hearing.
yes.
Are there any opinions that you have as it relates to the proposed plan based on the testimony that you heard?
Yes.
What are they?
So the retaining wall, the structural plans that were submitted to us indicate the retaining wall, only the top layers of the retaining wall have a block thickness that is actually 28 inches, not 18 inches. So it would be 10 inches deeper than what was testified. And then so I will say that the first top 3 courses of the wall would be 28-inch block. The middle 2 courses of the wall would be 41-inch thick block. And then the bottom 2 courses of the wall would be 60-inch thick block. And then I would also want to let the board know that, underneath that bottom course of block on the wall, there would be some type of prepared footing, whether it be prepared soil or stone or concrete that would have a larger width. Also, behind the retaining wall, I believe they did indicate that there is a drainage. There's a drainage layer of stone. That would probably be approximately 12 inches thick behind that, but also a representative cross-section on the structural plans indicates that there would be aggregate backfill that is compacted at a 1-to-1 slope from the bottom of the wall back into the property. Now, it would be finished on the top with topsoil and lawn, but from a construction standpoint, the amount of disturbance into the Taylor's property seems to be significantly more than what I believe was testified to earlier.
And you confirm that the B60 block, that's actually the foundation block that's being proposed?
He's referencing the structural drawings, but I'll just add the site plan that, again, I'm not sure what the exhibit number is. That shows the 28-inch block. So the line work on the site plan shows 28 inches. The block on the lower levels of the wall are bigger, but they extend on the Taylor's property. We're not widening it so that it extends further.
Tony, he needs to use the microphone. We can't hear him.
Yeah,
Sorry. Yeah. So I don't know if you got that, but
Start over.
so the retaining wall shown on the plans is shown at 28 inches, the smallest dimension, finished with topsoil. The lower segments are larger, as Andrew has noted, but it's extending into the Taylor's property. We're not misrepresenting anything in that standpoint. It is finished with lawn. It's almost like an L, and it's shoehorned back into the property. So we're not extending out further 60 inches into the stream. The wall face that's shown on this site plan will be the location of the wall face as installed.
Okay, so basically that it's identified as B60. I'm assuming the base layer.
Yes.
That's your foundation that you talked about earlier?
Yes.
Not another poured, there's no poured foundation underneath that. That would be the first run.
Yeah, I'd have to reference, I think in this circumstance, because the concern for the flow of water was so significant,
Right.
I think the prepared base was a poured concrete base that wouldn't be seen. That would be below grade.
Okay, so there's another layer below that.
Yes.
Okay.
And that shows, I believe, on the structural drawings that were submitted.
Yeah, that's consistent with the structural drawings that were submitted.
Okay.
And then I would also question too that the retaining wall, the segmented block retaining wall is the best. That's a subjective term, I guess, but I don't know if other more natural Barbara Kirk had mentioned riprap, but there's also a lot of other alternative natural type of design measures to stabilize embankments. For instance, core logs, tree root wads, stabilization matting that could be installed at a slope face that is greater than 3:1, or more vertical than 3:1, which could be a natural solution and would be less intrusive than riprap onto the Taylor property.
I'm assuming you chose the block because it's architecturally pleasing, and you have
That's part of it, but I think the main concern was the flow of water and the way the stream was redirected. It's hitting this corner of the property almost dead on. So
Yep.
all those reinforcement methods are great. We were just very concerned, and the Taylors love their home, they love their property, and they really want to make sure they're investing a significant amount of money into this project, that they're protecting their backyard from what they lost, and that it doesn't happen again.
And I'll add from my opinion, I would personally, from an engineer, would rather see a more armored measure than core logs or tree roots there was tree roots there before probably, and they're gone in other spots. So the bank still would erode. So I think the armored condition would be much more sustainable.
Board members, I can't tell you with regard to the tree roots, you can see the photograph, the tree had to come down. They were told that in a storm, it could hit a neighbor's house or their home. So the stream eroded the tree roots from that large tree. It was a shame to see it come down, but it had to be done.
Are we splitting hairs here with this natural type?
I just want to make it clear, the township is not opposing the application. I've been directed to participate,
Right.
and I think the participation is to ensure that this board has been equipped with
Right.
all the information, because once this wall is up, you may be in a position where people are going to start complaining that the stream was diverted or the flow was changed. In light of a recent application that you heard about the effects of stream and flow. And again, the questions are geared to ensure that this is the least intrusive, minimal relief necessary to help the property owners. We're not opposing it,
Right.
but I want to make sure that the board is fully equipped with all the relevant information.
and that's appreciative. I mean, my problem is there's no topo here to actually look and see what's going on. So,
I agree.
That's your problem too.
I'm sure it is. I will agree with that, though. I wish there was somebody else here that can help us determine that. Those the questions you mentioned about what's going to happen downstream, the major difference between the natural one and these nice block that you're putting in there. I would really like to have somebody else say something about that.
Say something as a,
Like, the natural, the riprap or other things, you're saying that's not going to hold up from what I can understand you guys saying, as opposed to your beautiful wall. And then, of course, I don't know what that's going to affect, how the change in the flow or the velocity of the flow will be changing with that wall, as opposed to if it was more natural, a riprap, et cetera. I know with the riprap, you're going to lose more yard. I got that. But how will the flow will be affected if we don't do that? And will that make a difference downstream or even across the stream?
I think an important thing just to add is that we're not redirecting the stream at all. The stream bottom is the same as it was since it was originally redirected to build the property.
Yeah.
And the location of the retaining wall on the site plan on that exhibit is shown at the delineate. We had the stream
Right.
delineated by.
I can see that, but putting up a wall is going to certainly have an effect on the way the water hits it, as opposed to more a natural environment. It just has to.
A more natural bank would actually slow the water flow down, which could actually cause it to rise.
I'm
Versus
sorry, can you repeat that?
a more naturalized stream bank would slow the water down, but that
Right.
could also raise the water more than an end factor, a Manning's factor, sorry to be engineered.
So you're saying that could
Of a wall would be a little more smooth, I guess.
So you're saying the natural idea would could possibly raise the level of the
It
creek?
could actually slow it down, yes.
I would agree with that.
Why wouldn't we want that? Can you help me on that one, Pete?
It's a trade-off between slowing how much, the faster the water goes downstream and slower at that point, but you're delivering more water to the downstream people, which is the issue we just experienced
With the
recently.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a trade-off between those two characteristics.
And in this particular location, if you come around the other side of the Taylor's property is a culvert underneath David Terrace. That's really the controlling factor of anything upstream of that. So,
So the wall that you're proposing, in your professional opinion, would not impact the velocities of the existing stream?
I don't think so. Not the size of it now.
Did you look at the 103?
What's that?
Pete?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Barb, anything else? Is there any public comment on this? No,
Oh, there we go.
never
No
heard of
public
you.
comment.
Sure.
As well. More than merrier.
You guys missed me, right?
She looks familiar.
Pamela Van Blunk, 1514 David Terrace.
Henry Van Blunk, 1514 David Terrace.
Yes. So we live directly across the street. We're downstream. The stream runs behind the applicant's yard and then along the side, and we're across the street, so it's along our side as well. We support this application. We've seen what it has done to their backyard. We do not live on large lots. They're small lots. So they're not real small, but they're not large. They're small. To lose a significant portion of the backyard has a serious impact. They do have 2 children, but most importantly, we support it. I don't know if you want to add anything.
I agree. And I think the wall is probably the better alternative when we have heavy storms. This creek increases in height from almost a trickle to about 8 feet in height from behind their property to along ours to almost till it gets to the woods behind the middle school. So the property adjacent to them, I know, has been in talking to Jim Majewski for years about wanting the township to build them a retaining wall.
All right.
Which the township said it's your problem. And now they're here to fix a problem, and we support them.
Thank you very much. Is there a way, just again, I'm not a water expert, but how will water from their property get through the wall to get into this? Because there's got to be some kind of runoff, right?
So Chris, you were saying that the way the slope is that the water will go right over the wall into the stream?
Yeah, there's a pitch in their backyard, a very slight pitch, but a pitch, and it'll flow over top of the wall.
And Chris also mentioned that the walls, all segmental block walls are designed with underneath that top layer drainage stone that would then get rediverted to the stream. So if it doesn't,
I'm sorry, we can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So as Chris mentioned, that if the water doesn't go over the wall, and not to have an image of a waterfall in your head, because that's not what it's going to look like, but it's more than likely to infiltrate through that grass layer, get into the drainage stone behind the wall, and then get out to the stream.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Is there anything else? Is there any more public comment? Nothing? Just the Van Blunks? James, you have anything to add to, I don't see how, but.
Board members, also, I have the Taylors available if you have questions of them. Mrs. Taylor and Mr. Taylor's on Zoom.
I actually like the wall idea myself. That's just me. It looks nicer.
I agree with you, Anthony.
Thank you.
And again, the township's not opposing,
Mhm.
but long and short of it is, somebody somewhere down the line is going to start saying there was a diversion of water. Did you do your due diligence in
Right.
reviewing this?
I think we are.
That's all I want to make sure has been done.
I think we are, and I don't think there's any way to prevent any of that from happening or not happening. In my opinion, anyway.
Thank you. So board members, if there are no questions of Mr. and Mrs. Taylor, then I would just move for the admission of the exhibits, and I don't have anything further. And thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Barbara,
Thank
thank you.
you.
I understand.
And there's no objection to the
Okay.
admission of the exhibits.
All right. I think I've heard enough. Do we like to have a motion on this?
Want to, Pete? You want me to?
I don't know which one of you guys want to make it.
I'm just gonna let him.
Well, you know.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I have to separate you guys away from each other. Go ahead, Peter.
All right, make a motion to approve Appeal 21-1944 as submitted with the particular plan subject to the approval of the township engineer.
What about the other agencies? Do we have any?
We don't have any
Nothing
control.
Control of those.
Okay.
And I don't think Andy would issue it until this.
No, I don't think so, but I guess you're right. We don't have to-
But because it's written right now, it's just being the retaining wall. We have to retain the township's right to approve or disapprove.
All right. Does that sound all
I'll
right?
second that.
And there's been a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, with no discussion, I'll call for a vote. Those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? No, there's no opposition. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
I know it was a lot of work for you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Do you want them back? I actually like to keep mine if I can. I want one.
Binder shortage?
No.
Is this plan.
Yes.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, we marked both.
Okay. well, this is
Yeah.
the plan.
Yeah. the one that was originally is October 12th.
Barbara, thank you very much.
And then
Appreciate it.
In the packet is the 20th. But since they submitted both, we marked both, but yeah.
Okay, all right.
We apologize for the geek out session, engineers.
Guys are terrific, I gotta tell you. Glad to have him anytime. Do we have anything left here?
Yeah, just one.
Oh, yeah, item number 10. All right, are they on?
Can I ask?
All right, you guys, you done here?
Oh.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Van Blanc. See you later.
You're looking to join the board, correct? You're a resident.
So you got a good break. You had a nice break. We'd love to have you back.
There's fringe benefits.
Yeah.
They are, but.
And we're gonna leave it up to you to make that right decision. See you later. I'm very sorry for that disturbance. Appeal number 10, or item number 10, appeal number 21-1945, Crystal and John Howe. Welcome to the zoning board. If you'd like to give us your names and addresses, and we can get you sworn in. Do you have any?
I put in the application for the variance. No,
I can barely see you. You got light there?
Power outage.
What are you in the tent?
Nathan Simcox actually put in everything for us. He's doing the work for us. So he's a little dark. Grab some light for you guys.
Well, Bill, let's have you swear all the witnesses in, and then I'll mark the exhibits.
Sean, we swear the testimony about to give will be the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
I do.
All right, we have application as A1, site plans A2, proof of publication B1, proof of posting B2, and B3 is the notice to the neighbors.
Okay, they're sworn in. We've gone through your application, but go ahead and tell us what you're trying to do.
Am I speaking here?
Whoever's going to do the explaining.
Yeah. I'm Nathan from Hydroscape Pools. We are looking to put in a fiberglass pool at that location. Submitted the topographical with the engineering for everything, and we are trying to go from a little over 19% of existing impervious to 24%, slightly above that, to get back to 18% with an infiltration trench.
So I saw 27%.
I saw 24. I could be wrong, but I just glanced at it. I believe so. I got it up here. It says 20 total of proposed 24.6%.
27 on here. 27.4 on the
On the,
application. But now I must look at the plan.
The plan says
Yeah,
20% impervious proposed without pool.
Mr. Chair, I believe that the pool water surface is 450 square feet. And if you included that in, that would make that 27.4%. But in Lower Makefield Township, we do not consider the pool surface water as an impervious surface when considering for zoning matters, and thus I believe that the proposed total impervious area for the lot would be 24.6%.
Okay. Is there any other issues with it? Dimensional, anything like that? Just impervious?
No, it's pretty standard installation. Nothing that seems to stand out with the typical pool with the added impervious for, capturing that water for, what would cause additional runoff.
And the proposed pool, where's the equipment going?
Gotta pull that. Let me see. We have the pool should be between the shed or right against the back of the house.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I see the shed. I see the shed. Is it going to be in the shed?
Yeah, it's going to be in between the shed and the house there in that area right there where it's
HVAC unit? Okay.
exactly.
Anything, guys?
Oops.
No, the pool does not count as impervious surface. It's just. Oh, yeah. How far
Right.
close is the pool?
To the house?
From the setback from the rear property line.
Yeah, I believe it's more than 10 feet with
Okay.
standard.
All right. That's
All right, a question here regarding the patio. In the impervious calculations, it says the patio is pervious, and on the plan, it says the patio designed as impervious. So
The existing patio that is there, that before is an impervious, was built impervious, so there wasn't a additional variance needed to compensate for water runoff. But the patio that we are adding is the additional, the pool decking that's going to continue from that existing patio to surround the pool. That
And
will
that's
be
impervious?
correct. So the what was shown there when they additionally, the topographical guys came out and did it, they did the original plan thinking it was impervious, and then we corrected that. That was taken away from the calculations, and the only thing that's been added is what we are going to add in the stamped concrete there. So that should be compensated for that to go up that 5% and then get back down to 18 with that infiltration trench.
Andy, is the infiltration trench large enough?
Yes.
A question for you, Andrew, here. Could a pool, the 1-foot coping be considered pervious?
1-foot coping be considered pervious? No.
I don't see it how it could be. That's why I'm asking.
It's impervious, but it is part of the decking. Like a 4-foot surround includes 1 foot of coping and then additional 3 foot of decking to make that 4-foot surround. So that is from inside water edge to inside water edge, where that's been removed for the existing water surface.
Your calculations include the 1 foot, or they don't include it?
They include it, absolutely. They always include that because every coping, every pool that coping, regardless of what you coped it with, you would put concrete there. So that certainly wouldn't accept water as the kind of footer foundation to hold whatever coping you put on there.
I think there might be a slight discrepancy in your calculation then, because you have 800 square foot as the pervious patio, but your calculation on the drawing says 706 feet of paver patio and 94 square feet of coping, if I'm reading it correctly.
Let me see.
It would just impact your calculation some.
See, we've got the pool, what they put, pool patio, 800. And then we have, where does it say? Let me see where he said coping. Where'd you see that coping on just under the impervious calculations?
You have, no, under the calculations, you have patio pervious 800 square feet. And then up on the drawing itself, you have the arrow to the proposed paver patio and coping listed as 706 plus 94 equals 800.
I guess that's what is, so it's 800 square feet of total. Yes.
But we just established that 94 isn't pervious. So it should be 706 pervious. It's a minor change in your calculations, but.
No, they're both impervious. So, right, 706 plus 94 would be 800 total in impervious.
In impervious, because down you have the patio listed as, okay.
Yeah, the existing patio, which is those squares you see beyond the pool, where you see that looks like those 2x2 squares or whatever on that actually attach to the house. That's the pervious patio that was previously installed. We have nothing to do with that. That's existing.
Oh, okay. So you have it. All right. That was where my original question came from, because your note on the drawing says patio designed as impervious for the existing patio.
Well, I guess he must have misstated that on the plans, but sorry about that. The existing patio that is there right now, it was built impervious. So that square footage does not affect the overall impervious. What we are going to add, it will be that coping and the surround in total of 800 square feet to whatever that calculation of the 24.6 to equate for the infiltration collection.
Andrew, do we know if the existing patio is pervious by the township's definition?
No, I have not seen the patio. Don't know what the cross section is.
What's your concern?
Is there any documentation? I can't hear anything.
Yeah, we can't hear the applicants right now.
You hear anything at this point?
There we
Yes,
go.
thank
All
you.
right, go a little closer. So we had the patio done about a year and a half ago by Plant. We had all plans done to be impervious because we knew that there were variants. So they're just papers that are down, and they did all the soil, the water runoff, all of that stuff prior. So the township a year and a half ago, we went through all the permits to have that done the correct way.
So that's documented that it was permitted to be done.
Through the township, yes.
Very
This doesn't, I mean, he's ripping it out.
Oh, so we have a person that we actually spoke to.
No,
We're
it's
looking at
not.
an email from Michael Kirk from the township for building plan for the patio. And he came and inspected after we had it installed.
I mean, can we make it a condition of the approval if we have to?
Yeah, because I'm not really certain. I understand what Mike Kirk did. That sounds great, and he probably is right, but I think if we're going to make a motion, we should make sure that's included in it somehow. Anybody? Any other questions? Is there any public comment?
No public comment online.
Can you identify yourself, the pool guy?
Nathan Simcox, Hydroscape Pools,
Can you spell your last name?
SIMCOX.
Oh, Simcox.
Yep.
Oh, I'm okay with it. Just put that in the motion.
If we can get clarification from the township engineer regarding the existing patio and where it fits into the impervious numbers, then I'm fine with it.
Well, I guess there's another question here, given that you already have that patio out there and it's adjacent to the pool, do you really need the surround designed to that extent, particularly on the side where it faces the patio? Couldn't the pool just be pulled up tighter to your existing patio so there's less impervious?
I believe we only have.
See if anybody else on the board is interested in going this way too.
I would not.
I mean, honestly, I'd rather have a solid surface around the pool because then you don't get that mud coming up through everything, and it's just cleaner. It's easier to keep.
Yeah, and the side closest to the existing patio is only 4 foot of walk around. The added space was going to be to the side of the pool because the actual design of the pool has a side step and a side seat entrance. So everything would kind of be to the right of the pool if there was going to be any additional space for like, tanning chairs or something like that. So it's kind of minimal to the existing patio.
Anything else, guys?
No, I'm fine.
All right, barring no public comment. There's no more questions from the board. I'll entertain the motion.
I'll make a motion to approve 21-1945 as submitted with infiltration trends for 24.6% to be reduced to 18% impervious. And what did you want? Clarification on the patio by the township engineer? That work? Or?
Yeah.
That the existing patio is considered pervious.
I think that should be in the motion,
Okay.
since there's nobody here to tell us differently.
Works for me.
Actually, I think we have to say not to increase the impervious coverage from 19.8% to 24.6%. Effectively state that because the application had the 27.4%.
I thought it did say 24.6. Okay, all right.
Yes.
Sounds good. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Any discussion? The discussion, all those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Yeah, there's no public comment. All those opposed? Nobody's opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Happy New Year. Thank you.
All right, move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, aye. Meeting's adjourned.